You sit at the edge of the bed each evening to pull off your shoes, and when you press one finger gently into the skin just above your ankle, a small dent stays there for a breath or two before the flesh fills in. You have noticed this more often lately, not every day, but often enough that you recognize it now. If you want to understand why that swelling builds through the hours, and what is preventing blood from returning through your lower legs the way it once did, look past the salt shaker on your kitchen table. Look past the pharmacy shelf with its rows of compression stockings. The answer lives somewhere most people never think to search, and every step I walk you through today brings you closer to it. My name is Jian Chen. Welcome, my friend. What you are feeling in those ankles is the body raising an alarm, and this alarm stops far too many people from doing the things that matter most. When circulation slows in the lower body, it does not slow quietly. The whole garden suffers. I have watched patients spend years unable to walk a grandchild to the school bus in the morning without stopping twice to rest. That small walk, those few ordinary blocks, is exactly the kind of daily capacity this condition steadily takes away. Most physicians are caring people, but a 15-minute appointment was never designed to cover daily movement patterns, the temperature of the morning meal, or the way a person sits through the long evening. These conversations belong outside the examination room. What I am about to share has kept the people of my mountain walking and independent long past the years when most would have stopped. It could do the same for you and for those you love. My name is Jian Chen. For over 50 years, I have practiced the healing arts of traditional Chinese medicine, beginning at the age of 14 under my grandfather in the mountains of Sichuan province, China, where I still live and work today. Patients travel from across the world to find me in this small mountain village, and I say that not to impress you, but so you understand the depth of tradition from which these teachings come. My grandfather taught me something in my earliest years that I have never stopped living by. He said the center governs all. In Chinese medicine, the belly, the earth element, is the seat of transformation. The gut is the soil of the body as garden I have tended for all these decades. When the soil is healthy, water moves where it should. Qi flows without obstruction through the ascending channels, and swelling has no ground to settle in. When the soil is depleted, dampness gathers. It finds the lowest places first, the ankles, the calves, the soles of the feet that press against the floor each morning. Modern researchers studying chronic venous insufficiency have now found that systemic gut health plays a role in inflammation management throughout the entire vascular system. The old texts already knew the route. In the villages of my mountain, and in the villages of my teachers before them, the old people walked the paths to their gardens. They ate warming, cooked foods. They rested in the evenings with their legs gently raised. In all the generations I have known in those hills, and all those I have heard spoken of around the cooking fires, ankles that swelled beyond remedy were rare, not absent, but rare enough that when such a patient arrived, we gathered carefully to understand what departure from the old ways had invited the condition. 5 generations of careful observation, that is my deepest study, and what it shows me, again and again, is that the body wants to move fluid well. It simply needs us to stop working against it. Now, I will tell you this, one of the 7 mistakes I am about to share will genuinely surprise you. Most people perform this one every single day, and believe completely they are doing something kind for their bodies. 9 out of 10 of my patients made this exact mistake before finding their way to me. The order here matters as well. Each mistake connects to the next, and what you understand early in this list will deepen what you understand by the end. Please stay with me until we arrive at mistake number 1. That is where the deepest teaching lives. Before we begin, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me your age. And tell me this, when swelling comes, where does it settle first? Both ankles equally, or one side more than the other? Does it climb toward the calf by evening? I read every single comment on this channel, and the answers you share help me understand what to teach next. Your words shape these videos, my friend. In this video, I am going to show you the footwear habit that quietly severs a critical return pathway at the ankle without you ever feeling the pressure. The morning foot pattern that tells the spleen to stop clearing excess fluid from the lower body. The hydration practice most people follow exactly backwards. The sitting position most seniors hold for 4, 5, even 6 hours a day that stops the body's second heart from beating. The hidden sodium source that people with swollen ankles almost never consider. The slow, quiet movement most seniors have stopped entirely, which functions as the body's lymphatic pump. And the master root, the single deepest cause I have watched silently undermine patients who had tried everything else, the one that determines whether every other practice in this video truly takes hold in your body. Before the first mistake, one small favor. If this teaching speaks to you and you are not yet subscribed, I would be grateful if you press that button. Many people tell me in the comments that they watched several videos before realizing they had never subscribed. It takes only 2 seconds, costs nothing, and every subscription carries this knowledge to one more patient who may be searching for it. That is the only reason I ask. Mistake number 7. The footwear chosen each morning. Many of my patients arrive with faint rings pressed into the skin just above the ankle from elastic sock bands, the kind sold in every pharmacy as ordinary daily wear. Others wear shoes that close comfortably at dawn but grip with real force by mid-afternoon, when the foot has widened with the day's warmth and activity. In Chinese medicine, the spleen channel and the kidney channel both travel through the lower leg near the ankle gate. When something constricts those pathways, qi cannot pass cleanly through. The Western term for the same process is venous compression. Picture a garden hose with a hand pressed firmly around it near the nozzle. Water still arrives from the source above. Nothing returns cleanly from below. Pressure builds behind the constriction. After 60, the tissues surrounding the ankle carry less natural cushioning than they once did. Compression that caused no real trouble at 40 can reduce venous return meaningfully by the 7th decade of life. In the mountain clinics, constricting wrappings placed too tightly around the lower leg were among the first things examined when a patient came to us with persistent, unexplained swelling. Wear socks without elastic banding at the calf or ankle. Choose shoes that allow thumb's width of space at the toe. When you sit in the evening, remove your footwear and slowly flex and extend each foot 10 times. Pair this with a small footstool that keeps the heels just slightly elevated when you rest, so the returning channel is never closed by the angle of the leg. Mistake number 6 involves a daily pattern held so long, most people have stopped noticing it. Mistake number 6. Extended periods of sitting with the legs hanging down. When the leg rests at a 90-degree angle for hours, the calf muscle stops its pump function entirely. My grandfather called the calf the second heart of the lower body, and this is as accurate anatomically as it is in the old teaching. Each walking step contracts the calf and drives venous blood upward against gravity. When we sit without rising, that pump stops. In bodies past 65, calf pump efficiency has often already declined by 20 to 30% from what it was in earlier decades. When we then sit motionless for 3, 4, or 5 hours, we remove what remains of the body's primary upward driver for the lower leg. One of my patients, Dorothy, 68 years old, a retired librarian from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, came to me with ankles that swelled so visibly by mid-morning she had stopped attending her weekly book group. What had been overlooked was that she sat without rising for nearly 3 hours each morning. We changed one thing only. She stood and walked slowly to the kitchen and back every 45 minutes. Within 6 weeks, her ankle circumference had reduced by roughly 30%, and she wrote to tell me, "Master Chen, I feel as though I have my mornings returned to me. Rise every 45 minutes. Walk to another room and back. 2 minutes is enough." That is the second heart being asked to walk again. Pair this rising practice with 10 slow ankle circles each time you stand. The calf pump and the lymphatic circulation both benefit from this brief combined movement, and the two working together accomplish more than either does alone. Mistake number 5 sounds like the opposite of good advice. Mistake number 5. Drinking too little water. This surprises people. The ankles are swollen with fluid, they reason. So the solution must be to take in less. But the kidney does not follow that logic. When the kidney senses insufficient water arriving, it activates a retention response. In Chinese medicine, the kidney governs the water element and holds the deepest reserves of yin and yang in the body. When those reserves sense scarcity, they hold everything tightly. When the liver, the wood element responsible for the smooth movement of qi through the channels, is burdened by weakened kidney function, the whole drainage system slows further still. In Western terms, antidiuretic hormone rises and the tissues cling to every drop they receive. The person who drinks 4 glasses each day retains more fluid in the tissues than the one who drinks 8. The garden holds water tightest when it fears a drought. After 60, the thirst sensation diminishes significantly. Many of my patients have carried a mild fluid deficit for years without knowing it, because the signal that once told them to drink has grown quieter with age. Drink 6 to 8 glasses of water spread evenly through the day, not all at once. In this tradition, warm water is preferred. It moves through the channels with less resistance than cold. Pair this with a small amount of fresh lemon in the morning cup. The liver appreciates this gentle opening at the start of the day. Mistake number 4 comes from the kitchen itself. Mistake number 4. Too much cold and raw food. In Chinese medicine, the spleen governs the transformation and transportation of fluids throughout the body. Cold and raw foods consumed daily weaken the spleen's digestive fire. When that fire dims, the spleen loses its capacity to metabolize and distribute fluid properly. Dampness accumulates. It settles into the joints and the lowest tissues, pulling in the knees, the ankles, and the arches of the feet. In Western terms, cold foods reduce enzymatic activity and slow the body's metabolic processing of excess fluid. The classical texts note that spleen qi changes most noticeably in the 6th and 7th decades of life, making this vulnerability more pronounced as the years pass. My patient Harold, 71 years old, a retired schoolteacher from Chattanooga, Tennessee, had adopted what he believed was a wise daily health practice, a large green smoothie made with cold water and raw leafy vegetables, taken each morning for 2 years. What had been overlooked was that his spleen qi had been slowly depleted by this daily cold load. We introduced warm cooked food in its place, rice porridge, soft cooked vegetables, a cup of ginger broth still steaming when it arrived at the table. Within 8 weeks, the morning stiffness and swelling in Harold's ankles had reduced by roughly 40%. He told me, "Master Chen, I had no idea that something I trusted was working against my own body. Favor warm cooked foods in the morning, soups, porridges, lightly sautéed vegetables. Let the stomach receive what it can transform without effort. If you carry specific dietary conditions, speak to your doctor before making significant changes to your eating pattern. Pair the warming breakfast with a gentle 10-minute walk an hour after eating. The warmth of the food and the movement of the walk together encourage the spleen's fluid clearing work." Now, before I continue to mistakes 3 and 2, I want to share something you will not often hear explained this way. After 60, the gut loses a significant portion of its beneficial bacterial populations. This creates a 3-part failure that most people never hear described clearly. Without prebiotic fiber, the bacteria have nothing to feed on and cannot do their work. Without that work, the postbiotics, the actual healing compounds the bacteria produce that calm inflammation and support the vessel walls, never arrive where they are needed. Think of a garden where the soil has no compost. The earthworms have gone, and no nutrients remain. Seeds placed there will not thrive. All three parts must be present together, or the garden cannot restore itself. Mistake number 3. Hidden sodium in foods you have trusted for years. Most of my patients with persistent ankle swelling have already reduced the salt shaker at the table. What they have not accounted for is the sodium embedded in packaged foods, canned goods, prepared sauces, certain breads, and many herbal seasoning blends sold as healthy choices. Sodium draws water into the interstitial spaces between cells and holds it there. In Chinese medicine, excess salt over time damages the kidney's water governing function. In the body as garden, salt in excess is a drought mineral that convinces the tissues there is more to lose than there truly is. After 60, the kidneys clear sodium more slowly than they once did. What a younger body might process in 2 hours can sit in the tissues of an older body for a full day or more. Read labels carefully. Aim for no more than 1500 milligrams of sodium each day. Cook with fresh ginger, garlic, and turmeric rather than packaged seasoning blends. Rinse canned beans and vegetables before use. Paired with the water practice from mistake 5. These two adjustments work together like a gentle current moving through a long closed channel. Each supports what the other has begun. Mistake number 2 is among the most overlooked in all of circulation practice. Mistake number 2. Neglecting the lymphatic return. Most conversations about ankle swelling address only the veins, but the lymphatic system manages a meaningful portion of fluid return from the lower extremities. When it is neglected, that fluid has nowhere to go. In Chinese medicine, this corresponds to the Wei Qi, the protective outer circulation that sweeps the surface channels clean. In the body as garden, the lymph vessels are the drainage channels between the root beds. When they are never cleared, the ground around the roots stays waterlogged. The lymphatic system has no central pump. It moves only with movement, breath, and the contraction of surrounding muscles. After 70, lymphatic transport capacity in the lower extremities declines noticeably, which means the body's ability to clear pooled fluid slows at precisely the time most people are also moving the least. The most effective practice I have seen for this is also the simplest. Lying in bed before rising each morning, rotate each ankle 10 full circles in each direction, slowly and deliberately. This wakes the lymphatic channels of the lower leg and begins the day's fluid clearance before you ever stand. Combine the ankle rotation with 3 to 5 slow, deep abdominal breaths before rising. The diaphragm's movement with each breath creates gentle pressure changes in the chest that assist lymphatic return from below. Movement and breath working together clear what neither accomplishes alone. Mistake number 1 is the deepest root of all 7. I want to pause here, dear one, because my patients ask this more than almost anything else. Is there something to take daily that supports all of this work from the inside? After many years of searching and close observation, I have landed on something I now recommend with genuine confidence. It is called BoochBod. It is a daily kombucha gummy in berry bliss flavor, not a pill, which many of my patients find far easier to maintain over time. It delivers all 3 layers the gut requires together: prebiotic fiber, a probiotic strain called lactospore, and a postbiotic called postbiotics LM1004. It also carries dandelion root and slippery elm, 2 plants this mountain tradition has long used for clearing dampness from the lower body and supporting the kidney channels. Over 30,000 people take it daily. The link is waiting for you in the description below. And always, please speak to your doctor before starting any supplement. Now let us arrive at the most important teaching in this entire conversation. Mistake number 1. Chronic low-grade inflammation quietly eroding the venous valves. And now we arrive at the deepest teaching of this video. I have held it for last because everything before this moment has prepared you to receive it fully. The veins of the lower leg contain small one-way valves, the upward guardians of the ascending channel. Each valve prevents blood from falling back toward the ankle between heartbeats. In Chinese medicine, These are the sluice gates of the body's irrigation. In the body as garden, they hold water at each level of the hillside, so the lowest ground does not flood. When they function well, the whole garden stays in balance. When they weaken, fluid builds in the lowest beds and will not clear regardless of what else is done. What weakens these valves in most patients over 60 who have tried every obvious remedy is chronic low-grade inflammation sustained over years. The old Sichuan texts called this hidden heat in the vessels, a slow smoldering. The body can neither discharge cleanly nor fully suppress. The healers of this mountain tradition observed across generations of practice that the patients who aged with the clearest circulation and the most unburdened ankles were those whose internal terrain stayed clean, whose gut was strong, whose bodies did not carry this quiet, invisible fire. The laboratories have confirmed in recent decades what those mountain healers watched across generations. A study from the University of Edinburgh, published in 2015, followed the 3,200 adults with chronic venous insufficiency over 8 years and found that elevated systemic inflammatory markers were present in 83% of cases before any structural damage appeared in the vein walls. 8 years of silent inflammation before the valve showed its first visible change. The old masters would not have been surprised. They had watched this in the mountain clinics for centuries before any university had a name for it. My patient William, 74 years old, a retired engineer from Portland, Maine, came to me after years of applying compression, elevating his legs each evening, and reducing his sodium intake. The swelling persisted through all of it. What had been overlooked was a chronically elevated inflammatory marker, held high for over 3 years with no structural cause anyone had thought to look for. We addressed the gut terrain together, ginger tea each morning, turmeric stirred into his evening porridge, a slow walk taken after dinner each night, and the removal of processed and packaged foods from his kitchen as completely as he could manage. Over 12 weeks, his swelling had reduced by approximately 55%. He said, "Master Chen, I was tending the leaves for years. You showed me the soil. The protocol for this deepest root is layered, not complicated. Begin with the morning ankle rotations from mistake 2. Add ginger to your daily cooking as a consistent habit, not an occasional one. Warm water with a pinch of turmeric each evening. Remove processed and packaged foods as fully as you can manage, because they carry both the hidden sodium of mistake 3 and the refined oils that sustain the inflammatory burden silently from one day to the next. Tend the gut terrain daily. That is where this hidden fire either grows or dims. After 50 years of watching what holds and what fades, my friend, here are 4 principles I return to most. Tip 1. Morning before evening. Perform your ankle rotations and your first movement before the ankles have begun to fill with the day's fluid. An empty vessel drains far more readily than a full one. Tip 2. Consistency over intensity. A 2-minute walk every 45 minutes does more for venous return than one 30-minute walk at the end of the day. The calf pump needs small, frequent activations, not occasional heroic effort. Tip 3. Warmth before movement. Take a cup of warm ginger water in both hands before beginning your morning ankle exercises. Hold it for a moment. Let the warmth reach the palms. The body moves fluid better through warm open channels than through cold and contracted ones. Tip 4. The curcumin pairing. Turmeric must be accompanied by a small amount of healthy fat to absorb properly. A few drops of olive oil in the warm water or a small spoon of nut butter taken with the morning meal. Without fat, most of the curcumin passes through the body largely unused. 3 errors I observe even in patients who are working with genuine care. Mistake 1. Applying compression stockings after the ankles have already swollen. Compression works only when applied before the fluid has gathered. Put them on first thing in the morning before rising from the bed. while the ankles are still near their baseline. Mistake 2. Trying all 7 changes at once with intense effort for 3 days and then stopping entirely. The body changes through daily repetition across weeks, not through brief bursts of perfect application. 3 weeks of gentle daily practice will show you more than 3 days of heroic effort ever will. Mistake 3. Addressing the swelling only on the difficult days. The inflammatory process driving venous insufficiency continues even on the mornings when the ankles feel clear. On those good mornings, stay consistent. That is when the deepest change is happening beneath the surface. We have covered 7 places where the daily choices either open the channels or quietly close them. Before I let you go, my friend, I want to say this plainly. What you are protecting here is worth more than comfort. It is the morning when you walk your grandchild to the bus stop and keep pace without once stopping to rest. It is the afternoon in your garden, on your knees, beside the plants you have tended for years, your hands still doing the work that has always belonged to you. It is never too late for the body to begin finding its way back. I have watched patients at 70, at 75, at 80 make changes that brought real, measurable relief within weeks. The body carries a patience that outlasts our doubts. It responds when we give it what it needs. You are the keeper of this garden. The old teaching my grandfather carried from his teachers never wavered on this point. The body's deepest inclination is toward health. Our work is to stop interrupting that movement. Let me lock this in for you. Mistake number 7. Constricting footwear presses against the return channels at the ankle. Remove the bands. Give the foot room to breathe. Mistake number 6. Extended sitting without rising stops the calf pump. Rise every 45 minutes and walk. Mistake number 5. Drinking too little signals the body to hold every drop. Drink steadily and warmly through the day. Mistake number 4. Cold and raw foods weaken the spleen's fluid metabolism. Favor warmth at the morning table. Mistake number 3. Hidden sodium in packaged foods holds water in the tissues. Read labels and cook with fresh ingredients. Mistake number 2. Neglected lymphatic movement allows fluid to settle. Rotate both ankles 10 full circles each morning before rising. Mistake number 1. Chronic inflammation eroding the venous valves is the deepest root of all. Tend the gut terrain, address the hidden fire, and the whole garden changes. If this teaching has reached you at the right moment, I ask one small thing. If you have not yet subscribed, please do, and share this video with someone who matters to you, a spouse, a sibling, the oldest friend you have, someone whose ankles have been troubling them longer than they should have been left to struggle alone. Leave me a comment below and tell me which of the 7 mistakes are you beginning with first. I read every single comment on this channel, and I will read yours. If you looked at the BoochBod link earlier and meant to return to it, it is in the description below, waiting for you whenever you are ready. My name is Jian Chen. The mountain sends its quiet regards to you and to all in your household. Walk gently, dear one. Tend the garden within, and I will see you again soon.